Meyer, black woman, this hotel is not a charity house. And if you don't leave, I will personally throw you out like the disgusting animal you are. The man spat the words when he saw Ajoa, a black woman, enter, unaware that 9 minutes later, she would have the power to fire them all. The hotel's white marble did not soften the sting of the lobby's gaze as a black SUV delivered a woman in a dress. She moved with a quiet authority that needed no proof, and the color of her skin was the only thing the staff seemed determined to notice. The receptionist's smile vanished. Bonjour, mademoiselle. I am looking for my room. I have a reservation under the name of Ajoa. Ajoa said. The woman behind the desk scanned her instead of the computer and asked bluntly, I think you. Excuse me, black woman. Are you sure it's this hotel? Ajoa answered in a tone that brooked no argument. A guest services manager in a gray suit stepped forward and addressed his colleague instead of her. Is there a problem, Elise? Elise said the reservation wasn't in the system and demanded to see a passport, handling it as if it were evidence of deception. The manager examined the document with a smirk and suggested aloud that perhaps she was looking for someone who cleaned here. A waiter chuckled, and another employee muttered that women like her thought a long dress could buy them class. Ajoa did not flinch. She asked quietly to speak with the general manager. They hedged and made excuses. Insults sharpened. This slave is lucky we're not calling security, one of them muttered. Yet Ajoa remained composed, checking her watch. 12:17. I'll wait, she said, and sat with the calm of someone who had weathered this before in many languages and places. The guest services manager returned with a hostile edge, accusing her of suspicious behavior. Suspicious? She repeated, soft and lethal. For walking through the lobby? Or for existing? The question felt like a gauntlet. Then the scene tilted. Two men in suits with discreet earpieces entered and inclined their heads to her. The staff went still. The phone behind the desk began to ring. The receptionist answered and went pale. It's corporate, she stammered. The general manager took the call and came back flustered and apologetic, trying to stitch an explanation as orders came down. Those who had mocked her now scrambled for damage control. Ajoa crossed to the counter, placed a small metallic gold card on the marble, and let it speak. Propriet Group, Amani Holdings, President Directress General, Ajoa Amani. When she held up her phone, a video call confirmed the title in flawless French, and a corporate voice said yes. It was Madame Amani, and the hotel belonged to the group. Color fled from Elise's face, a tray clattered from the waiter's hands, and the manager's arrogance folded into embarrassment. Ajoa's voice lowered into a steel whisper. Do you still believe this place is not for me? She announced consequences with the precision of someone used to issuing orders. Guest services manager, fired for discriminatory conduct. The waiter, dismissed, and Elise, removed for lying, manipulating, and participating in a public humiliation. They tried to plead ignorance. She cut them off. Ignorance did not excuse the basic decency they had failed to show. Guests peered from the restaurant, the stairs, the elevators. Eyes tracked her like a sovereign passing through a court. For years, she told them, raising her voice, this place has sold African luxury without letting Africa enter through the front door. Today, that changes. The general manager stumbled after her, begging to explain. She did not look back. You will have plenty of time to do so, she replied, but not here. The lobby doors closed behind her while murmurs braided into a low roar. Phones out, cameras tilting to catch both the humiliation and the reversal. Staff mouths opening then closing. A receptionist sobbed and wiped her cheeks, ashamed and stunned. An elderly concierge hovered uncertainly, hands clasped. Word ran down corridors. Lawyers on retainer, PR alerted, legal teams mobilized, and the building that traded in appearances began to resemble a command post. Outside, a black van with tinted windows drew up, and a woman in dark glasses stepped out carrying a folder and wearing a Bluetooth earpiece, flanked by two gray-clad assistants. Is Ajoa Amani inside already? She asked crisply. Yes. She just went up to the executive floor, someone replied. Perfect. No one is to touch anything until I say so. I will need immediate access to the director's office and the hotel's internal network. The unfinished business of the hotel, the humiliation and the reckoning, hung in the air, unresolved, and cameras watched closely. The woman's name was Aminata, and when she appeared, it was because something significant was about to change. On the executive floor, in the meeting room, Ajoa looked out a window at the organized chaos that was beginning to flow beneath her feet. It was like watching a rusty old machine screech as someone, She dismantled it piece by piece. Aminata entered without announcing herself. Everything is ready. The local press has already received the communique. The president of Group Amani pays a surprise visit to her hotel in Abidjan and finds acts of flagrant discrimination by staff. She set the folder on the table. We also leaked that there were internal recordings of the moment. The media will come on their own. Good, Ajoa said without turning around. And the staff contracts? Reviewed. We can rescind them for conduct that damages the brand image and documented discriminatory treatment. Human Resources has already sent the first digital dismissals. System access is being revoked right now. Ajoa finally turned, looking her in the eyes. I want to be downstairs when they are escorted out. Aminata nodded respectfully. Of course. In the lobby. It was 1:03 p.m. The atmosphere was different. The employees knew the storm was no longer coming. It was already inside. Elise clung to the counter as if she could avert the final judgment with an empty smile. The waiter was staring at the floor. The guest services manager tried to talk on the phone, but the earpiece no longer worked. His line had been cut. Then, the elevator doors opened. Ajoa emerged without haste. Behind her, Aminata and 2 guards in corporate uniform. Everyone stood still. She didn't raise her voice or lift her hand. She simply walked, and where her foot landed, the weight of things changed. She stopped in front of the counter. She struck the bell. Ding. Elise, she said, please hand over your badge, your access key, and your identification. You no longer work here. You can't do this. I am Elise. Not without a formal meeting, a review. Aminata approached and handed her an envelope with her name on it. Everything has been documented. You can appeal if you like, to the same person you just discriminated against 45 minutes ago. Elise burst into tears, but it was no longer important. And you? Ajoa turned to the waiter. Please, I have 2 children. It was just a comment. It was violence. And you said it with the certainty of someone who thought I was nobody. She looked him in the eyes. Now you'll know what it feels like to be invisible. The guest services manager still tried to save his skin. Madam Amani, this hotel has standards, protocols, image codes. I was just trying to protect your reputation by protecting it from its own founder. He was left speechless. Your arrogance prevented you from seeing that the woman you called suspicious is in every wall of this building. My designs are in the marble, in the lamps, in the uniforms. I am the reputation of this place. And in a lower voice, like a whispered punishment, you are out. Aminata took note. The guards advanced, not with violence, but with order, with justice. Meanwhile, outside, the press was already gathered with cameras, microphones, and photographers. A journalist from Channel 1 asked, Madam Amani, what do you have to say about this scandal? Ajoa paused on the hotel steps. The new logo of her company shone above the entrance. Group Amani, elegance with roots. She looked at the reporters and said, this is not a scandal. It is a cleansing. A cleansing of what? Another asked. Of the soul of this place. Because building in Africa is not enough if we continue to discriminate like those who colonized us. Here, I'm not only going to fire staff. I'm going to dismiss customs, mentalities, languages. This hotel was built to celebrate African greatness, and no one will ever again close the door on a person for being black. An applause began among those present. Some new employees who had just arrived joined in. The cameras captured everything. Beside her, Aminata smiled. What's next now, madam? Ajoa descended the steps. Now, we open the hotel.